meeting you all. And I just want to say thank you as well to Colin and John and Daniel and others who've been blogging and tweeting, which has made me feel a bit closer to you all. And I hope that next year I'll be able to be with you in a more physically embodied form. I thought that I'd just like to talk about Debatagraph in the way that we've been talking to policymakers in the UK and the US and elsewhere, and then begin to come on at the end just to talk about the way in which we're starting to begin to apply it in the exploring the release peace process. So Debatagraph is a tool that lets people share and visualise and build on each other's thinking, and addressing particularly the area of public policy. And the reason why this kind of approach is we think is so important is because of the slides. If you go to the next slide, to misquote Bill Joy, that there are always more smart people outside government than within it, and at a time when public policy issues are becoming more complex and non-linear and interrelated, the ability to be able to tap into this intelligence that's distributed through the community, and to do that in a way that is transparent so that everyone can see that everyone is a very effective and efficient way of addressing public policy in a way that it's just simply not been possible to do before. And because it's transparent and because it can happen in a way that everyone can see the different ideas have been seen and represented, it's also a process that we think helps to build public trust in the process. If you go to the next slide, the trouble is, though, if you have all of these ideas that are distributed throughout the community, how do you make sense of that? How do you find the ideas that are there? How do you begin to draw those together into a particular structure that makes sense? And if you go to the next slide, and as well as that, if you can begin to get people to think collectively about the problems that we face as a society, how do you make sense of it if many people speak at the same time? So this slide is an illustration of one of the early attempts by the Obama administration during the transition to the questions around healthcare, and they asked a fairly simple question about what worries you most about the healthcare system in the country, and within a few days they had over 3,700 comments in a very unstructured, very rich, full of anecdotes and lots of repetition within the ideas that were being presented. So trying to think about a different way of making sense of that, and the approach that we're adopting, if you go to the next slide, is to begin to think about, instead of focusing on the people who are making the contributions, begin to try and focus on the ideas that are being presented by people. So what we're trying to do is to gather all of the ideas about the particular issues that we're looking at, all of the ideas that are distributed through the community, but to try and do that in a way that each idea is just represented once, so that if you gather a group of people together, you'll find, if you go to the next slide, that typically as you start to talk to a few people, or as you begin to analyse a few papers or submissions, you find there's a rush of new ideas that others haven't raised or discussed before. But as you continue that process, you find that the shape of the introduction of new ideas follows broadly that indicative curve that's described there. And so the line is tending towards a point where you can actually begin to map comprehensively all of the ideas that are distributed through the community, and doing that only once, so that you can avoid the repetition that's occurring. This line is indicative because public policy is dynamic, particularly in areas like climate change, as new science and other things emerging all the time. But nonetheless, even within that context, this pattern we're finding holds well. So how do you listen to what the community has to offer in this way? And if you go to the next slide, the way we do this is to begin to think openly in simple provisional building blocks on which others can build too, and that are open for anyone to edit and comment on as well. So we're essentially using a form of argument and discussion mapping with different grounds and ontologies involved with it, but the basic building blocks of it people can ask questions, people can suggest answers in response to those questions, and then people can give reasons for the answers that they're proposing, and then reasons arguing pro and con, the different reasons that are presented. So here on the slide we've got an example where we're looking at what are the policy options that are open for responding to the Iranian nuclear program, and one of the suggestions that somebody put onto the site was preventative military action, so a unilateral, multilateral preventative strike to destroy Iranian nuclear facilities. And somebody has come on and put an argument against that, that military strength in the hands of those in Iran who argue that the country needs a nuclear deterrent and therefore will lead to a redoubling of the effort to secure nuclear weapons capacity. So each of these points can be open for other people to challenge, to add new ideas, to raise new issues. And once each point is represented in this way, there's no need for others to repeat the points that have been made. And so if you go to the next slide, as well as the representing these ideas in a simple and concise form, the structure of what we're doing also effectively sits over a wiki structure where for each point that's on the maps that have been built, you can add rich text and images and long text to expand on the particular points that you want to make. And people can also layer in comments that aren't part of the structure of the map, but that enrich and explore a method of the structure of the map. If you go to the next slide, what happens then is that people are able to build maps that can move and grow in a multi-dimensional way. So starting with a few issues and then expanding off in multiple directions, with each point that's on the map open to editing by everyone, open to challenge and refinement by everyone, and able to be linked to any other point in any map or any other map within the structure. And this the community can also work together to rate the different issues, so that what you begin to get, and this is a map, for example, that we were looking at in the independent newspaper of what the Obama administration should be doing in the immediate aftermath of the inauguration. So you can see how it's looking at issues around the environment, governance, healthcare, international policy, and there's a deep, rich branches under all of these elements. As you begin to rate the issues, the visualization changes with the better ideas rising to the top, and so the map can become a multi-dimensional pole where you can understand the issues that people think are significant and the reasons why they think they're significant, and the best proposals in the community's perspective for addressing those issues. Also, by externalizing your thought in this way, you can receive alerts that tell you when other people are building on the thoughts that you've shared in this way. And so the map enables the community to try and map all of the different perspectives that are live within any public policy problem space, and to begin to explore those together and to try and see each of the different perspectives that have been presented in the context of the whole and from their own perspective as well. If you go to the next slide, in addition, we built in, yes?
David, we have 3 minutes. I'm really sorry. We will have to make it the room for about 3 minutes.
Okay, I can cover that very quickly. We built a lightweight widget that enables the debates to be embedded and distributed around the web. So we're working on the map that's shown here on climate change with the independent newspaper, and the map that you can see there. If you click on the bubbles, they explode and move off in different directions, and that map is being embedded on sites in Brazil, New Zealand, America, and Sweden, and embedded on sites where people have different perspectives. So it's embedded on climate sites and environmentalist sites, so that it's a way of engaging people in, so that when they make contributions to the debate in their own context, it's updated for everyone in a different context. So it's challenging group processes like fully like-minded people coming together, and the polarisation towards extremes when like-minded people talk together about issues. If you go to the next slide quickly. Sorry, we can skip through. This is just some of the people that we've been working with on the project. So if you go to the next slide. We've started to build a map about the Middle East process and the independence. And one of the things I was really keen to come and talk to you about was the process of beginning to engage institutions and individuals in the process of layering in all of the different arguments. The map started with a few branches. It's expanded out now, but it's still a relatively immature map. But over the next few weeks and months, we'll be working to try to map all of the different peace proposals that have been proposed, the salient issues that are live within the situation, and the arguments that are being presented for and against those. So the thing that I would be really interested to get feedback from people, perhaps by email or by Skype at a later date, would be people who would be interested in learning more about the tool, perhaps contributing to this process. Final slide, we're Creative Commons project. It's a social venture, and I really wish I was there to follow up with some questions with you, but I hope you enjoy the trip around the museum.
David, many thanks for doing this, and I'm sure people will email you. We will distribute your email to the participants if that's okay, and people will email you with questions later on. Thank you.
I'd be really happy for that, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Thank you very much.